Hello, it's Miss Nicole of Legacy Lineage Online Learning in collaboration with Youth on Fire to present Story Time. Well, it's Friday and we are at our last story for this week, but there's so much information to learn about plants and growing plants, and I have so many fun stories to share that I think we're going to keep going next week with plants, because this story is going to introduce an interesting concept, an interesting science concept, which is pollination. So for us to kind of unpack that, we will have another story beginning next week and still be talking a little bit about gardens. Plus, we want to be sure you are looking at your germination, your seed germination, is trying to see if anything is growing in your Ziploc bag or maybe in the little eggshell if you had an eggshell and planted your seed in there. So this is the Wind's Garden. Let's find out about the Wind's Garden. This year, when it was Earth Day, Google used the bee as their logo and used a little play on their Google with the bee, because it was talking about how important bees are, because bees use the nectar and they move around and they pollinate, and we need the bees to make all the beautiful flowers that we're seeing outside or maybe inside as you're looking at your mom's Mother's Day bouquet. The Wind's Garden. Now it's time to read a book, read a book, read a book. Now it's time to read a book, so listen quietly. This is the front of the book, front of the book, front of the book. This is the back of the book, and this is the spine. The Wind's Garden. This spring, I planted a garden. And you can see her. She has a wheelbarrow, and she is going out and planting a garden. Do any of you have a garden? And if so, what do you grow in your garden? Is your garden full of fruits or veggies? Some people grow herbs in their garden, mint and that kind of thing. Maybe some thyme or rosemary. It says the Wind planted a garden too. And what's happening in this picture is the wind is blowing and the seeds are blowing, and they are blowing away to a different place. And that's kind of part of the process of pollination. I dug the dirt and raked things smooth. And I'm going to show you all the different things she has for her garden. She has a wheelbarrow to cart things back and forth, and a hose, because in our other stories we learned that the plants need water. That's right. And she can water them, but also we can just wait for it to rain outside. But sometimes if you wait, your plants will need more. So sometimes you have to add more. I see a spade, and I see a hoe, and I see another like a trowel or something like that, and a watering can. So gardens take lots of work. Most people that have gardens, they tend them. That means they go out and they take care of them. And that's exactly what she's doing in this picture. Then I planted my seeds. And if you planted your seed in a little eggshell, you did exactly what she did. You put a little soil in it and made a hole and dropped your seed or your bean in there. The wind just blew. It swirled around and around, throwing seeds to the ground, here, there, and everywhere. I watered my seeds. The wind didn't water. But the rain splashed down on the ground, the dry, parched ground of the Wind's garden, and my garden too. So as you can see, even if the seeds blow somewhere else in the world, they really don't need anybody to tend to them because they're getting the sun. And if they're in the ground, they're getting their nutrients from the dirt or the soil that they're in. And then when it rains, it's naturally raining and giving them the water that they need. So it's nice to have a garden, but the process of pollination will go on even if we don't have a garden. That's why we need to take care of our earth and make sure that we're picking up litter and keeping our soil nice and watering it and doing those kind of things that help the pollination and the earth to be nice and green and flowery and all that good stuff. And as you can see, look, gives bees lots of flowers to go around and get nectar and transfer it to another. What are some of your favorite flowers? What color flowers do you like? Do you like to smell flowers? It says, I pull the weeds, the wind didn't weed. Its garden just grew. And that's right. So in people's garden, they do a lot of work pulling out the weeds because weeds are not really good for the garden. But as you can see in the wind's garden, which is just what happens naturally as pollination is going on, weeds and flowers grow up all together and it doesn't really need anybody to tend to it. It's nature and it happens all by itself. That life cycle, like the first book we read with the plants, the corn seed and how it showed us the life cycle. I'll show you that one in the end. And the sun shone down on the rich dark ground in my garden and the wind's garden too. And look at the field. If you go back and look at this video and just pause it, you can see some different things happen. But now her garden is full of flower and the wind's garden is full of flowers. Bees buzzed and butterflies flew. Our gardens grew and grew. They're our friends, the bees and the butterflies, because butterflies also sip nectar from the flowers too. And soon you're going to start seeing more and more bees and more butterflies. I know we are staying safe and staying home, and parents were staying sane, but it is nice to go for a walk if you have your mask and you can practice social distancing. Maybe go for a nature walk and see if you observe, or if you don't feel safe, again, I want to support you, whatever you feel is safe, but maybe look out the window, see if there's anything. If you go for a drive, certainly if you're for a drive, you don't have to expose yourself to others if you're not too sure or ready for that yet, but you can drive and maybe play some I Spy and see how many flowers you spy. And it says the gardens grew and grew and grew. Look at those sunflowers. Beautiful. My garden, her garden is all neat. It has rows. And it looks like her garden has flowers. Looks like she has a flower garden. I don't think she planted any fruits or vegetables. Looks like it's all flower garden. And the wind's garden grew too. The end. And I'm just going to show this page, parents, if you want. It's a good time. You can pause it and read the notes on here. It just says you can grow a garden too, and some easy seeds are, they give some listing. Marigold seems to be easy. In the spring, you plant your seeds in a sunny place with good water. In the wind's garden, you can help the wind with dandelion flower. It turns yellow and sunny, and the seeds will spray away. So they're talking about those dandelions that when I was a kid, I thought they were flowers. I would pick them, but they're really weeds. But eventually they turn white like little clouds, and you and help blow. That causes pollination. That aids in pollination. And I referenced the corn seed and remembering the life cycle of a seed. Let's see if I can find that really quickly. Do you guys remember that when we talked about it? And then we said we were going to grow a seed too? Here it is. The life cycle. So when you do see those little dandelions that are all white and ready, they need you to help them and help pollinate them and give them a big blow. And you can see all of the little dandelion seeds flying all over the place, and that's helping pollination. Thank you for joining me.